Hello and welcome to the DioTech channel. I'm Eddie, a central finance business architect with extensive experience in SAP central finance projects since 2017. Over the past decade, I have had the privilege of working on various implementations, rollouts, and support projects across Europe, North America, and South America. Based on my experience, I have documented a reconciliation guidelines to follow at each stage of central finance implementations. Successful central finance implementation relies on reconciliations and reporting of financial data at various stages during implementations and after go live. From a technical perspective, the end goal of central finance is to replicate financial data from an SAP source system or a third-party system to a central finance in real time. SAP provided the necessary tool to enable real-time replication in central finance, but still checks and reconciliations required at every stage in the central finance life cycles. Following are the four main stages: before the initial load, after the initial load, after activation, real-time replications, and subsequent period and closing. At each stage, there are typically a list of tasks to perform to make sure that the data which is coming from source systems to the central systems are posted accurately and it's reconciled between the source and the target systems. Let's go to the first stage before the initial load. The leading practice SAP recommends reducing open item for customer, vendors, and open item manage GL account in the source system. Run consistency check reports. Execute period and task depreciation run, for example, and taking the snapshot of data prior to the initial load that helps for comparative purpose after the initial load is complete. Then after the initial load, when the initial load is posted, perform the validation of balances and the line items. For this, SAP delivered a comparison reports and other financial reports to weather data, bit data, and balances between source systems and the central finance. Making use of those reports, these are really good reports that SAP has provided. In each of the reports, there is some limitations, but the benefits are is overcoming those limitations. Then the third stage is after activation real-time replication. So when the initial load is reconciled, real-time replication is activated to replicate data from source systems to central finance systems. In this stage, clear bulk SAP application interface framework messages before going into normal replication mode. In the next video of initial load mechanism, we'll cover this topic. And the last stage is subsequent period and closing. After the initial load is completed, enable the real-time replications. Then subsequent period activities can be carried out in the central finance system. And central finance system becomes our books of records. Depending upon the business processes in a central finance which were activated, period activity can be carried out in a central finance system. Now let's review each of these stages in detail in the following slides. Sorry. Before the initial load. From a functional system readiness perspective, prior to beginning of the initial load, the source system preparatory task must be completed for FI document applications. The preparatory tasks divide into the following categories. Initial load volume. access the source system data volume for FI initial load purpose. Based on the general application settings, we see in source set. We'll go over these settings in the next video about the uh, initial load mechanism. Here we need to run uh, the open item reports FBLN 1 and FBLN 5N, FBLN 3N for the open items, and see how many from since how many years we have an open item in a exist in a system. Then data cleansings. So during the preparatory phase, carry out the cleansing activities. For example, clear out the open item, open item from general ledger accounts, AP over AP open items, AR open items. If we have a a long pending due to pay or to receive, maybe for example, a $5 or some 2-3 euros, instead of bringing this to the setup in a system, if feasible, we can write up in a source system itself as a preparatory phase before we move this to the initial load. Then consistency checks. The SAP has given a consistency check report that basically checks and repair any inconsistency in the document indexing, transaction figures, etc. Run reconciliation report. Run all the either a custom reports or a SAP standard report that currently finance team is using to capture the snapshot of the system before the initial loads. Like for example, I have initial loads starting on 1st of March 2025. So as of February 28, what was my AP balance, what was my AR balances, what was my trial balance. So that's take this, run those reports and take a take a snapshot of this reports and save in a somewhere in the SharePoint as a snapshot before the initial load. Now, next is a important one, the timeout parameter. During the initial load, the system packages open items, balances, and data document into the different packages, starting with S, D, O, and P. S is a saldo, which is a balance packages. D is a document packages. O is a open item packages. P is a combination of D and O, depending upon the source systems, it generates the P. If it is the S4 system as my source, it generates a P for instead of document, instead of D. Then general application setting. Maintain the general application setting in vCFIN source in the source systems. From which month you wanted to bring the balances, from which month and year you wanted to bring the documents to the center finance system as a part of initial load. Okay. The next is given a typical activities to be carried out prior to initial load extractions. For example, if I want to do a cleansing activities, what should be the typical activities? I can clear out the open items per customer, vendor, GL, and runs a automatic clearing program. Then for consistency checks, SAP is given a reports, sorry, and then taking a snapshot before initial load extraction. So there are some standard reports, some balance programs, and if you have any custom programs for the balance sheet and profit and loss account, that we can run those ones. So I've given a few typical activities that normally a IT team does with the help of finance teams and supporting the CFIN implementations. Then let's go to the next stage after the initial load. After the initial load is completed in central finance based on the project requirement, there are several activities to be performed. The below is a typical list of reconciliation activities. First is count documents transfer from source system to central finance. how many document in source system, how many documents are in center finance systems. Perform technical reconciliation of migration and substitution clearing accounts balance to zero. This we will discuss in next video about the initial load mechanism. Run center finance comparison reports to ensure all documents are accounted for that tie the individual general ledger account or group of GL accounts with the source and target systems. Perform the open item reconciliation for customers and vendor. So in this case, for example, run a FBLN one N in source system, FBLN one in target system, and make sure that the customer wise balances are matching. Or similar, we can run for FBLN 5 and for customer, FBL1 and for vendor. Ensures balances type for cost center, profit center, other characteristics between the source and the finance system. Normally, when we do any reporting, we do a report by cost center, report by profit center, or report by any COPA characteristics by product, by sales region. So that characteristics should be that balance should match for those characteristics also. Run intercompany reconciliation report to ensure the accuracy is transferred. Complete asset accounting reconciliation with GL manual accounts used in the central finance. And then carry out the year-end carry forward balances to bring general ledger balances to the following year if necessary. Run any custom reports based on the project requirement. So this stage is just to make sure that the balance in source system and the balance in target systems are matching. And the third stage is after activating the real-time replications. Once the FI initial load and SAP replications, uh, a interface framework bulk load are completed, during online application, you will run the comparison report and other reconciliation report based on the requirement. Typically, we do a periodic run comparison report to compare replicated data between the source and system and the set of finance systems. We can do a daily comparison counts. SAP is given provided a count reports to make sure that in a day how many documents are created in a source and how many documents are getting replicated successfully in CFIN. If any differences, it also give a count of differences that user can click. It will take you to the AIF interface and it shows what the document has failed because of what reason, and if it is in with the simple guidelines to fix those documents. Regularly analyze the mapping of new master data and perform consistency checks. For example, if any new customer is created or a new cost center is created in the source system, the same should be either created in a target system or mapped to the existing customer or existing cost center in the set of finance systems. Review SAP application interface framework error log, perform error resolutions, run ad hoc reports based on the Fiori, SAP Analytics, C Cloud, SAP Analysis, and Microsoft Office, etc. The last stage is at subsequent period end. So so far we saw this one before initial load started, after initial load completed, and then the regular real-time replication is started. So over a period of 1 month, 2 months, system is stable, replications are going on a smoothly. If any errors are there, team is able to resolve those errors. There's no technical errors. All the errors are related to either a master data or a mapping error. And then we goes to the period end. So first 1 or 2 months we do a soft close, then third month of the go live, let's start a normally people do start the hard close in a central finance from the second month of the go live. But let's see, we can go till a first quarter, for example, a period 3. So there are some typical activities of this month-end close. Uh, Perform a pre-close activities, which includes data validations and completing the incomplete transactions. Open financial periods, perform AP, AR clearing activities, close AR AP books, run intercompany reconciliation, perform treasury and related functions, execute AUC settlement, final settlement, and closing process, perform asset accounting close activities, perform universal allocation, carry out accruals and deferral activities, perform foreign currency valuations, close subledgers and the general ledgers, close financial period, and so on. So this way, we saw in this video what are the reconciliations and a little bit about the reporting activities at every stage in the central finance projects. Thanks for watching this video. Do not forget to subscribe to the DevTech channel. In next video, we will cover a initial load mechanism. This will give you a idea what are the different ways we can do a initial load and what are the mechanism included. Then I'm 100% confident that these videos are helping you in your day-to-day center finance implementation and support projects. Thank you again. Bye.